What makes Napoleon so fascinating? He went from rags to the most powerful man in the world, blew it, and then led the craziest restoration attempt in history. He's probably the best general we've ever seen. His first army command in Italy was meant just to be a diversion. His men were not being paid and weren't being given supplies, and he managed to absolutely dominate his opponents. Not exactly rags, bourgeois, and briefly noble when France took Corsica, but the fact he only learned French at 11, spoke it with an Italian Corsican accent all his life, and was still a Corsican nationalist when he was an artillery officer. In the French army is an incredible backstory to become Emperor of France itself. While they were minor nobles, they were deeply in debt because of his father's gambling habits. Nonetheless, the fact that his father was a noble got Napoleon into military school. Also, that guy, Marbeuf, was paying for it. Because Letitia was pretty, Corsicans are open-minded about that matter. Try being that yourself. Everyone made fun of it. They joked about his dad being a cuckold and his younger siblings being fathered by Marbeuf. That rumor persisted. Napoleon himself was a cuckold. Some made fun of that too. Some of those regretted that. That word is defined as a man whose wife had extramarital sex while he was married to her. The mother's behavior is no reason for her children to be ashamed. No one has claimed Napoleon was a bastard. I was literally referring to extramarital sex when I said Corsicans are a lot open-minded about that. You are evil-minded in this thread by trying to be judgmental about Napoleon about something out of Napoleon's control. Look to your own sins when you blame children for the actions of their parents after they were born. Not only is he one of the greatest rags to riches stories in human history, he is also a genuine enigma whose life and actions don't neatly fit into one reductive box, but could be argued to be more impactful than anyone else from his era. Going further, he literally has his own era of human history, an era so impactful, not just on Europe, but the whole world, that almost everything that happens thereafter can be said to be the ramifications of something from his rule or the revolutionary wars that immediately preceded it. Top comment here for sure. There is no other man in history to have an era in human history. There is no Caesarian era that just affected Rome and a bunch of provinces. The Napoleonic Code, with its framework that enshrined principles of legal equality, protection of property rights, and individual liberties, became a model that several countries based their systems off of to this day. Billions rise and rest under systems he built. It's absolutely insane. Hess, so relatable? Like some aspects of his life sound so made up. His insane rise from 20-year-old nobody to 30-year-old ruler of France, his batty military ideas that somehow worked out, or not, the impact that he had and continues to have almost 200 years on. Let's be honest, we all wished it was us. He packed so much life into 51 years. But then there's the other side of him that was a teenage emo who read the sorrows of young Werder way too many times. He liked to prank people throughout his life, only children seem to have enjoyed this. He hated eating green beans because the string made him think of hair and it grossed him out. Even his darker days speak to most people's fears. What if you lost everything? What if you fucked up so irreparably you couldn't ever walk it back? What if people hated you and threw you out of your society for your mistakes? Could you survive? Somehow, Napoleon did, until he didn't. He isn't good or bad. He is too complex for that. I think Napoleon is so fascinating because he is one of the most human humans in history, for better or worse. I've read all the comments posted so far and find much to agree with in many of them. This one, however, seems to grasp the breadth and depth of Napoleon particularly well. I particularly liked your "A teenage emo who read the sorrows of young Werther." What makes Napoleon such a fascinating character to me is that he serves as a sort of avatar of the modern age. And with his reign, you see all of the good and the bad that the modern world he was helping to create would hold. The host of the Age of Napoleon podcast said it well. Napoleon is a sort of ink blot test for people's politics. If you're a leftist, you'll be drawn towards his Jacobin roots and his breaking of the ancient regimes of Europe, but repulsed by his callousness toward Hati. If you're a conservative, you'd be awed by his martial power and ability to bring a full code of law to revolutionary France. That is now the basis for some two-thirds S of the world's legal systems, but would turn your nose at his sacking of Italy and undermining of the Catholic Church, old regimes. For me, he also is a powerful reminder that the world we occupy is not as set in stone as we tell ourselves, and that men do make their own history, as Marx said, even if it is under restrained and oftentimes determined circumstances. We idolize Napoleon because his answer to the question of the modern age, synthesizing the orderly top-down rule of the old age with the democratic and idealistic ideals of the modern age, is something we hope our leaders can achieve in their own rights.